What's up, guys? Chris with CNC for Newbies, Cross CNC, um, coming at you live from the office workspace. Um, as you can see, we've got blankets and pillows in the back because living in Miami, we have people wanting to visit us all the time. AKA, they want to go to the beach and they don't want to pay for a hotel. So uh, lots of CNCers have been here, have hung out. Um, we got the vinyl cutter back up and running, but today's live. I wanted to talk about speeds and feeds. I was helping a set of clients last night, and they were like, "Where do you get your numbers to start?" And there are a bunch of different ways. You really should get them from the manufacturer of the tool, but there are opportunities to get good starter feeds and speeds. Okay, there's a couple different ways to do it, and I'm going to show you a quick way. So let's go to share screen. We'll share the entire screen. Let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's see. Oh, my Firefox is updating. Hold on 1 second. Okay, it's updated. So, very first thing we're going to do is go to toolstoday.com. Okay. With Tools Today, let me bring this over a little bit. There's that. Okay. So we go to Router Bits, and we drop down and we go to Cnc Router Bits. Now, for most of my stuff is going to be in inches, so I'll check this drop down. Okay. Now I'll find the diameter of the bit that I want. Let's say we're working with a 1/4 inch. Okay. I'll check a 1/4 inch. Shank, we have a 1/4 inch in there. Okay. We're going to work with wood. We're going to, let's do upcut. I like upcuts. Okay. We're going to do 2 flute. The rest of this is kind of open, but now you just got to go through and kind of find what matches with what bit you're using, kind of the blade profile, the cut profile, things of that nature. Once you find that, you can use this is a good starting point. So we'll go up here. Let's say we have one of these. It's similar to a 46315-K, which is a coated upcut. And if you go to Cnc Speeds and Feeds, so scroll down and you'll see Cnc Speeds and Feeds, view chip load, and this will give you everything you need. So these numbers are derived at 18,000 RPM and a 1 times tool diameter depth of cut. Now, this is where a lot of people will mess it up. They think that this is the end all be all. It is not. For me, on my CNC for Newbies 4x8 machine, I can get 18,000 RPM because I have a spindle. I have a strong spindle. I can get a one times the tool diameter depth of cut because my machine is rigid. Okay, my X-Carve, I could not do that because it has a DeWalt 611 router. So I leave that pretty much on 1 or 2. And on number 1, you're looking at 16,200 RPM. So I would have to change these speeds and feeds a little bit based on what my router can do. And then I would also have to change the depth of cut because the X-Carve isn't as rigid as the new carve, the CNC for newbies. And likewise, the CNC for newbies is not as rigid as, say, a solid steel beam uh, thick gantry, like the 6x10s, stuff like that. So you have to understand there's a lot of things that go into speeds and feeds. Okay, so when we go down here, let's see, we're looking for 46315K, which is right here. Okay, all right. So if we're going to be doing wood or plywood, we're going to run it at 180 inches a minute. We're going to take a 0.005 thousandths chip load per tooth, and our ramp down is going to be 90 inches a minute. Okay, so that would be our plunge rate. This gives us a good starting point. Okay, one of the things that we can look at is how to use these numbers and these formulas right here to change our feed rates. Okay, so if your tool is, say, in a less than rigid machine, you're going to take down the depth of cut. Okay, that relieves the stress on actually pushing the gantry of the machine. If you're using, say, a DeWalt or a Makita router, you can adjust your RPM and get a new set of numbers based off of these calculations right here. Okay, so if you're looking for feed rate, it's RPM times number of flutes times chip load. Well, we know that we want a 5,000ths chip load, so we can plug in 5,000ths. We know that we have 2 flutes, so we can plug that in. And then the RPM is based off of our machine, so we can put 16,200 in there and just solve the equation, and that gives us our feed rate. Okay, so that's an easy way to kind of get a good starting point for your formulas. Once you get that starting point, you can take it down by take it down to 70% and start from there and work your way up. And you can really tune in a tool specific to your machine, specific to your material, specific to the chip load and number of flutes of a tool. Okay, so it's a good starting point. It is not the end all be all. Okay, and you have to play around with this. This is not something that as we do this, um, that you're going to get a set of numbers right there. It's set, it's done. Okay, it takes a lot of things into account. All right, we do have a person here asking how do I feel about GWizard, I've got it. I love GWizard. I love Proven Cut. I love GWizard. I love any of Bob Warfield's tools are fantastic. Saunders Machine Works. You'll know him as NYC CNC on YouTube. Uh, he he uh, he runs Saunders Machine Works, and he has a program out called Proven Cut. That's fantastic. Um, that's geared more towards aluminum, metal machining is what that's geared towards. And these are all wizards that take into account a lot of the extraneous uh, outside peripherals that you have to have uh, to get your recipe specific to your machine. Okay. Um, and that's basically it. That's where you're at with it. So as you guys start doing this stuff, um, realize that your calculations are very simple, yet there's a lot to them. So for me, um, we're going to work on one that our client last night had. So let me go back to share. Let's go to entire screen. Let's bring up this. And we're going to go through once again. Let's derive what we have. Inches. They're surfacing, so they had a 1 inch. Okay. It is a 1/4 inch shank. Okay. They're doing MDF. They had, I believe they had 4 flutes on theirs. Let's see. So it doesn't look like we have a surfacing bit for that. So let's take the material out. Okay, so just with that, I'm not seeing what I want, but this is pretty close. So this is a 3 flute. Okay, so we'll go here. We're gonna scroll down. We're going to look at the 45522 surfacing bit, 3 wings. Okay, so I'm going to write down plywood, hardwood. We want MDF because they're surfacing their spoil board. So they need to be at 200 inches per minute at a 4,000 chip load. Okay. So with that information, I can go through. Let me pull up Notepad. We'll make Notepad pretty big. We're going to up the font to 2036. Okay. So we have a 1 inch 3 flute MDF surfacing bit. All right. So the typical feed rate equation is FR equals RPM times number of flutes times chip load. Okay, so now we can just kind of plug and play these numbers. They were using a DeWalt router on number 1, so their RPMs are 2000 RPM, and we have everything else that they were using. So let's plug it in. We'll go 16200 times 3 times 0.004, and I didn't do this off camera. I just hopped on to do this. So 16200 times 3 equals times 0.004 equals 194. Okay. Once we do a 194, that gives us our feed rate. Now they're using a screw-driven machine. That's pushing it a little much as far as feed rate speed, but that'll give us a good starting point. So that's inches per minute. So that gives us a good starting point there. Now, normally our feed rate and our plunge rate, normally our feed rate and our plunge rate are synonymous, like half the feed rate is the plunge rate. That's really based on machine. So at this one, you would roughly be at like 95 inches a minute, somewhere around there, for your plunge rate. And let me shut that off there. So once we get to the 95 inches a minute plunge rate, we can start filling things in as far as what the surfacer wants. Okay, and those are just rudimentary numbers to start with. For me, let me see if I have my surfacer programmed in on Aspire. Let's do vcarve, and I will tell you what mine are. And I use this on my new carve, my high-speed new carve, and my Pro machine. So let's go to tool library. Let's see here. 1.5 inch surfacing bit. Oh, I don't have it programmed in this one. It's programmed in. I have it programmed in on my other computer, so unfortunately I don't have that in this one. Let me see if I have it in my Aspire. That was my vcarve. I'll have to go to my Aspire. Let's see what we've got there. Tools, hardwood, aluminum, MDF. Okay, my Amana surfacing, I have an RC2248 1.5-inch surfacer. It's a 1.5 diameter. It's 2 flute. I'm using a 0.125 depth of cut. I'm using a 75% step over, 18,000 RPM, 190 inches a minute, 150 inches plunge rate. But the caveat to that is I use a ramping plunge, which means my tool does not go straight down and then start cutting. My tool gradually cuts from the side in, and then once it reaches depth, it takes off. Okay. So let me see. Let's share screen, window. So you could see a 1.5 diameter, 2 flute, 1/8 inch depth of cut, 75% step over, 18,000 RPM on the spindle, 190 inches a minute, and 150 inches feed rate. That's what I have it programmed to right now. I will play with these numbers. I have a video of my pro machine using this tool bit, doing a 1/4 inch depth of cut at 400 inches a minute, I believe, and in MDF at 18,000 RPM. So you could see with some materials, there's a vast array of numbers you could put in and still get it to work. Now, last night's client had all of their numbers down really low, and it was still burning their MDF. So that led me to think, are the blades kind of bitched up on the surfacer? I know it's a good surfacer. I know the company that did it, that made the surfacing bit. I have one, and the client didn't use the surfacer right the first time. So I almost wonder if they burnt the blades, shortened the life of the tool, and now it's rubbing more than it's cutting. So we'll have to see. We'll have to figure that out and go from there. Okay. Let me close that out. Let's close that out, and we'll go from there. Okay. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Facebook user. Facebook user going to connect with you on the C4N owners group for a one-on-one. Hey, I'm here to help you guys. You let me know where we can help. And it's not just for CNC for newbies. I love helping everybody get into this. I feel like CNC can really help a lot of people. So with that being said, I'll bid you adieu. Have a good one.